Star, is it just showing this screen, not the presenter stuff? I don't want to like that. Star, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Everybody. Hey, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me okay? Star, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right, we're gonna give it a few more minutes here to allow the other registries to appear. So just give us a few minutes and we'll get started. We'll give it one more minute here. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for spending your time here with us on this Monday evening. I know it's not always easy to do this at night. I know that you have families as well. So thank you again for taking time out of your day. We're so happy that you're here. A couple of housekeeping things to go over first. One is that we emailed about an hour ago, I believe. It's an attachment to the email that went out, the Zoom link. It's called the Family Wealth Needs Evaluation Sheet, College Bound and Covered. I may also refer to this as a purple worksheet. Just know that they're one and the same thing. We ask if you could please fill this out and email it to us by the end of this evening. And that will get you a $5 Starbucks gift card. But what's most important is it gives us what your next steps are so that we can support you in this and your family in this really important, like the next steps here. And then finally, I want to keep everything streamlined and respect your time. So if you have any questions at all during the presentation, just hold off to them. Hold off on them till the end, and I will address them at that point as well. So without further ado, one of the things I just wanted to share, so I have 3 kids of my own. They are much, much younger. My oldest is 7, and then I've got a 6-year-old, and then I have a 5-year-old. But while I was getting ready today, I just looked back and I saw this picture that my 6-year-old made for his preschool graduation. And I just thought it was real apt for me to share that here. And that is, it just says dream big, little one. Maybe it's dream big, your big little one. And I know that your kids are always your children, and that doesn't change. They're always your babies, regardless of how old they are and where they're going in their lives. But what's most important is that they are, just by a show of hands, or if you want to mention it in the chat, is how old are your kids? Are they going off to college soon? Are they already 18? Are they entering their senior year? Let us know in the chat, and that would be real helpful just so we know. And are any of them here on the call with you? I think it's really important to have these conversations with our kids too, and that they're a part of them, because as soon as they turn 18, they are considered adults, and us as parents have limited information, or I should say limited access to their information as to why we're doing all these things and talking about them as well. So here is, informally, we're going to call this adulting. What is adulting? And I know it's very popular vernacular to make the noun adult into a word, adulting, and I use it quite frequently as well. But what are we truly talking about here? Well, we're talking about growing up. And that means growing up as it relates to your legal and financial affairs. It's a process of initiation. It's a rite of passage into adulthood that many of us didn't even get ourselves. And oftentimes we had to figure it out on our own. Maybe that's you. Maybe your parents didn't help you or have these kinds of conversations with you when you turned 18 years old. And a large part of that is because they didn't know themselves. So part of becoming an adult means understanding how the legal and financial world impacts us, taking control of our life, and taking control of our legal and financial reality. Recognizing ourselves as an adult and all the positives and all the negatives that come around with that. I think that kids, and myself included, was definitely shielded to the consequences of suddenly being an adult. I remember I overdrew my bank account when I was in college, and I just like, how did they let me take more money out than in my account because I owed the bank money? Like, how could they let me do that? It's not the bank's fault. That wasn't me fault, and I didn't know that. So it's recognizing, so that's the part of what sets adults apart from children. It's a shift in consciousness from life is happening to me and out of my control, like our parents are dictating what we can and can't do, to life is happening for me and I am a major creator of it. And it's a big, important shift that many, like I said, many of our own parents didn't quite learn or know how to help us learn. And why does this matter? This matters because we need to self-initiate into adulthood if our parents didn't do it for us. And if we are parents of young adults, this is a huge rite of passage we can support our children with to step into adulthood powerfully, clearly, the better understanding and supported as well. It can be scary. I know when I turned 18 years old, the thought that I went out of state for college, and I remember very vividly the night before I left and how different my life was suddenly going to become the next day when I no longer really lived at my parents' house. And it was a very earth moving moment for me to realize that this is a tangible feeling of change. So for parents, boomers, like we talk about generations and they all have different names. And I like, quite honestly, I had to look up because they seem like they changed. But boomers and Gen X generations didn't do a very good job, in my opinion, of growing up around their legal and financial affairs. Many people are just trying to figure it out now. And it was decades ago that they turned 18 years ago, turned 18. I know sometimes I'm in that camp. It's like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. The reason is because like our parents weren't taught how to do it, and their parents didn't teach them. And it creates this cycle, this generational cycle that we can change for our children. And that's what we're here to do today too. I talk to a lot of families that are asking me about their own elderly parents. And oftentimes it's too late to do anything to change their situation. Maybe like, can we now try to save their assets from going into probate? Well, unfortunately, your mother doesn't have capacity to sign anything. Well, what can we do? What you can do is prevent this mess from occurring for your kids, and so on and so forth. And it's also like taking into consideration like where our parents and our grandparents came from. Like I think back on my grandparents, they grew up in the very end. My grandparents would have been over 100 years old if they were all still living. They were born at the end of World War I, like during the last a couple years after World War I, the decade preceding or following World War I. They grew up in the Great Depression, and then they were thrust into World War II as young adults. My grandfather lied about his age to join the Navy in World War II. And then just watching the country fundamentally change, and then the emergence of the internet. That was like my grandparents' lifespan. So it's also appreciating where they came from and also their relationship with money and legal affairs. Like my grandparents came from meager means. Like it was not a part of their sociological, economical landscape to talk about these kinds of things and have a plan in place. But now, so then you have to ask yourself, and it's kind of an existential question, is what relationships around legal and financial matters am I now passing along to my kids? And what can I change about that as well? So this is a huge learning opportunity, is when you can recognize that, to realize us as parents could break this cycle that we inadvertently inherit from our parents and our grandparents as well. And that is such an amazing gift and truly a wonderful legacy to leave for your kids and their kids, because you're going to change it for generations to come. Now, I hope that we are recording this seminar tonight, this workshop tonight, that I want you to share it with your young adult kids or kids that are coming into 18 or already 18 or they're heading off to college. Because I am going to be addressing some things specifically to them, because they should, like I said, they need to be a part of this conversation. This matters because current research shows that millennials and Gen Z want to do great things. They want to have healthy relationships with finances, and you want to do better than your parents. You want to do better than us. And these things are important to you. So we know that about that generation, about you guys, about the young adults. So now we know what adulting is and why it matters. Let's focus. I think I got a slide too far ahead. Hold on one second. Oops. now we know what adulting is and why it matters. Let's shift and talk about how to do it the right way. The most important thing for you to know is that once you turn 18 years old, your financial and healthcare information becomes private. It's only accessible by you. That means no one, including your parents, can access your information to help you in case of an emergency. Your education information also becomes private. So if you're in college, your parents can't access that either in the event of an emergency. For instance, if something happens to you and you can't attend school for a significant amount of time, they can't withdraw you from your classes. What this means is that your parents may have to go to court at this juncture to help you out. That anytime you hear the word court, just think to yourself, cost, conflict, and delay. It's a lot of money, and it takes a while to even get emergency court orders to help you out if an emergency situation arises. So where are you in all of that? Where you're left in a bind, just waiting for someone with the appropriate court orders to be able to step into your place as well. So that plan, I call it the trifecta, and I talk about it a lot. The trifecta of adulthood, the 3 documents that every single adult should have. And that is, we'll talk about it. It's your financial power of attorney, it's your healthcare directive, and your HIPAA authorization as well. And then there's 2 maybe documents that you might need. And then there's 1 inventory, which I think is really important. And the beauty of all of this is you can do this on your own, or you can ask us to help you out. And I'm going to show you how and what those documents are right now. So 1 is your healthcare directive. Every adult, like I mentioned before, over the age of 18 needs at least a healthcare directive. And that names the individuals that you would want to make healthcare decisions for you in the event you can't make them yourself, and how you want those decisions to be made. So it's who and it's how you want them to be made. This website right here, 5wishes.org, is a free website that walks you through each of the decisions and how to legally name someone to make that decision for you. I'm going to reference 5wishes.org. You can also go to doyourownwill.com and select free living will form. You can also go to your doctor. If you're a part of a large medical group, for example, I'm a part of SHARP. SHARP has held a free healthcare directive as well as a HIPAA authorization that they can provide to you as well. You want to make sure you get a California Advanced Healthcare Directive. So the one thing that 5wishes doesn't have that I wish that they would is a freestanding HIPAA authorization, and we'll talk about HIPAA authorizations as well. That's to be given to your doctors to release your medical information to decision makers, and which we always include in all of our plans that we generate for our clients, so that we create for our clients. So we recommend that you talk to all of your medical providers and ask them if they have that paperwork that authorizing the disclosure of medical information when needed. The other important thing too is if you collect these documents from your medical providers, know this, just because you sign them does not make them legal. So with a healthcare directive and with a HIPAA authorization, some of them require to be witnessed. So you have to sign them in front of 2 witnesses who are adults who are not mentioned in your documents, or they need to be notarized. You could do either or with both of those documents, but it's really important that you know that just signing them does not make them legally binding. Another consideration to make with your advanced healthcare directive is if you're not sure how you want your healthcare decisions to be made, or by who, or if you have complex desires, like you do or do not want certain medical procedures, or you have certain medical preferences, or certain people you never want to make any medical decisions on your behalf to, or certain ways you want your care to be handled that may be outside the norm, then it may be beneficial to you. I would say it's very beneficial to you and your family to get the legal counsel so you fill these out correctly pursuant to those desires as well. And then so what you'll want to do is to make a note on that purple worksheet that we included in the chat. You can email us at csd@protectyourfamily.law or call us at 951-200-3079, and we'll get you booked for an appointment, and we can walk you through all these documents as well to make sure they're done correctly. And when you need counsel, going alone isn't the best option. You don't have that confidence that you filled this all out correctly and that your wishes are going to be adhered to as well. But if you are okay and you're clear with who you want to make those decisions and what those decisions are, then 5wishes.org is a great resource. Complete a durable power of attorney. So we've handled the healthcare portion. We want to ensure that you've got the right people or person named to make your financial decisions. So advanced healthcare directive, that's your medical decisions. So these are the trifecta of documents. Advanced healthcare directive, the HIPAA authorization, those are for medical information. Then we have the durable power of attorney, that's for financial information. We're also going to talk about one more university specific form that should be in your toolkit as well. So your your durable power of attorney is for your finances, is who can help you, assist you with your banking or financial information if you can't do it. If you're in the hospital, for example, you're incapacitated. Incapacity, I'll just like put a pause right there. What is incapacity? It's a very legally loaded word, meaning it has a lot of importance to it. Incapacity means the inability to make your own financial decisions and or medical decisions as well. So when I say incapacity, that is what I mean. A durable power of attorney is a document where you name the person you want handling your financial affairs. Note there's two kinds of power of attorney that they have to do with timing. And we're going to go over that right now. So when somebody else is going to make your financial decisions. So one is called, it's immediate. That means the person that you, or the person or people that you're naming as your agents has immediate access to your financial accounts, for example. They can step in and help whenever you need. There's not a letter that's needed. You don't have to be determined incapacitated. They can just step up right away whenever and access your account information. The second one is called springing power of attorney, or it kicks in if you're considered incapacitated. So that means that you sign the document, but that person that you have nominated, they can't act right away until a doctor in writing states you can't make your own financial decisions, that you're financially incapacitated. Like with anything, there's pros and cons to both of these. So the first option, where it immediately springs into action or immediately goes into effect, the con is that those individuals have immediate access to your financial information and your financial accounts as well. So they have tremendous amount of power. That may be also considered a con, but the pro is they can step in at any time without the involvement of a doctor. The second type, the incapacity or a springing power of attorney, meaning it kicks in upon the determination of incapacity, does not allow a person to step in whenever. It's only once a doctor determines somebody incapacitated. That means you got to make an appointment with the doctor. You got to get a letter from the doctor as well. That may take time. And even doing all that, you still may need a court order. And anytime anyone goes to court, as I mentioned before, it takes time, it takes money, and there's this limbo period of what is happening. Nobody can do anything until we get that court order. So the pro to a springing power of attorney is that not everyone, the people you name just can't step in whenever, but that's the con too. That they can't step in until you're unable to make your own decisions. And most likely that may have to involve court. So there is a caveat. There's always caveats. There's always exceptions. In some cases, it may become possible that someone will need to go to court if you become incapacitated. That process is called a conservatorship. And the details, there's a lot of information about conservatorships that are beyond this presentation, but if you have questions about it, please feel free to reach out and we can address that. There is a way I can show you what it entails. If you learn more about it and you want to ensure that your family stays out of court no matter what, the best way to do that is by meeting with us. And we go over those accounts, the accounts that you may have, and we make a plan for it. And so that in the event of incapacity and in death, your family is covered and taken care of as well. But if you're clear that doesn't matter to you, you can go online and you can just search Google California Durable Power of Attorney. There is a state sponsored form. There's one because I found it. It's from the Attorney General of California. Make sure it's got a .gov website. This too is not effective just upon signing it. It must be signed in front of a notary. And so you want to download that one from the state of California and then ask each financial institution that your young adult, someone who's over the age of 18, has an account at. They all have their own internal powers of attorney. And that's really important because the last thing you want to have happen, because I've seen it happen, is that you present a power of attorney to a bank. You have a family member who's incapacitated, they're in the hospital, we need to access this bank account to make sure that their bills are being paid, etc. And the bank tells you we're not honoring that. But if you here is our own durable power of attorney, if you get this signed and notarized, we'll give you access. Usually when people are presenting a power of attorney to a banking or financial institution, it's because it's too late to get them, they no longer have capacity. So you're stuck in this bind. So I don't want that to happen to you or your family or your kids either. The other thing to keep in mind too is that you may not need a power of attorney. And what do I mean by that? If someone else is on your bank account, for example, let's say that you have a bank account with your child's name on it, your young adult, I'm just going to call them a young adult, and mom and dad. Mom and dad do not need a power of attorney. They're joint owners on an account. Mom and dad do not need a power of attorney or a court order to be able to access the account because they're joint owners on that account. So in that situation, that covers a scenario where the young adult is incapacitated. That still allows for mom and dad to be able to step in when necessary as they're joint owners to the account. A durable power of attorney is only applicable to any of the accounts the young adult owns individually by themselves. So I hope everyone understands the distinction there. When there is a joint owner, the other owner has unfettered access to that account. It's your account. When it is an account that's owned only by the young adult, then we need a power of attorney. There's always caveats and exceptions, which is why counsel and guidance is valuable. It's always good just to double check. And I'll show you how I can give you that counsel and guidance so you know exactly what you need in just a few minutes. So don't worry about that. Number 3 is to sign a HIPAA authorization form. So HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And if you've been to the doctor, or your child has been to the doctor, your young adult has been to the doctor since they're 18, they've most likely had to sign the doctor's HIPAA form. Under HIPAA law, your doctors, their doctors cannot talk about their medical information with anyone unless you give them express permission. So while your parents can talk to your doctor, see your lab results, and participate in your care before you were 18, they can't do that anymore unless you say it's okay. So it's a huge game changer for young adults when you just assume like, oh, my mom and dad can take care of it. They can't because you're an adult now. It's an even bigger issue that I have clients who have special needs kids. As soon as they turn 18, all of a sudden the doctors won't talk to them anymore until they get a court order for a limited conservatorship. So this is really important. If there's a medical emergency, you want someone to be able to step in and manage your care if you're not able to do it yourself. As I mentioned before, your doctor's office, their doctor's office will almost always have a HIPAA release for you to sign, but you should also have one of your own, and you can get one for free at doyourownwill.com, and we can share that link in the chat here in a minute as well. So doyourownwill.com. It's a HIPAA authorization. Again, just by signing it does not make it legally binding. It needs to be notarized, or I believe it can be witnessed by 2 adults over the age of 18 who are not mentioned in that document. So the next one is what I call a maybe will. A maybe document. It may not be necessary. It's a will. You need a will if you have at least some assets. So for example, maybe you've been saving throughout your life and you have an account that has a couple $1,000s, your paychecks, your graduation money, whatever it may be. that would be a good idea to get a will at that time. I just want to clarify one thing here. You need a will if you have any assets that are in just your name. So just like the durable power of attorney, if there is an account that you own jointly with somebody else, like your parents or with your child, I should say, you won't need a will there. So if you, so it's not going to be necessary, but it's always good again to get the counsel, get the guidance to make sure that you're doing this correctly and that we're not leaving anything on the table that would inadvertently need a court order. So if this is you, you can create a will for free at freewill.com. We like this because frankly, legal documents should be free. It's the counseling that goes into them, and what ensures that the documents will work when your family needs it, that you're actually paying for, not the documents themselves. And as an aside, why is freewill.com? Why is it free? Because charities pay a fee to freewill.com to have their name included in the software. So let's say if you it makes it a lot easier if you wanted to give money to a charity that's listed in there. They receive reports of the name, address, assets, and the planned gifts that they may be receiving. But you don't have to give it to a charity. You still get the same free service even if you don't leave anything to any charity at all whatsoever. So it's a really great tool if you need a will. Again, if you have any assets or an account that's over a couple $1,000s that is not owned by anybody else with the young adult. So here, the last thing you need, and I think that's perhaps more important than a will, is an inventory of what you have, everything that you have, where it is, and how your family can access it if you aren't there to tell them. Because if you are hospitalized or you pass away and you were able to have this moment of sentience, you're just like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I did not do that. And now I'm causing all this grief and heartache and hardship to my family. We don't want to do that. We want to make it as easiest as possible in these moments of difficulty so that our families are also able to grieve. Because if you've been in a high emotional situation and then been expected to make decisions, it's very hard to do that. So we want to make it as easy as possible. Why do we need to inventory things? Because you or our young adults or you, the young adult, have the ability to go open up any account that you want to anywhere, whether it's an online account, whether it's out, like a major bank that you've like gone in person and opened up that account. If nobody knows that you have it, then that's a problem to your family. What if they never find out you have it? Where does it wind up going? It winds up going to the state that's opened it, and whether it's California or wherever your kid may go off to college and sit in a state sponsored account. In California, it's called the Department of Unclaimed Property. So we don't want to inadvertently cause that to our assets and for our family as well. So this website right here, personalfamilylawyer.com/map, is the ability to create an inventory map or an inventory. It's called a resource map. And I think it's really important because it just has everything organized. You can come back and add to it as well. But so it's two steps. One is creating it, going through it and identifying your bank account, like where you're banking, and the actual account number. The account number is equally as important as which bank it's at. And also sharing it with your parents, sharing it with the people that you have nominated on your durable power of attorney. Where can you find this information? It's only as good as if someone could find it. So that's really, really important. And I would even go as far as writing down your passwords to different accounts that you have, whether it's your email, whether it's your social media, whether it's your cell phone, if it's all by itself, whether it's your online banking, a variety, your college account. It's just so that people have access to it, because there's nothing more frustrating than being denied access. Last week I had a hacker get into a bunch of my accounts and I got shut out of everything, and that's my own accounts. Like, I was so frustrated. Now, if that had been my kid and there's something going on with my child, it would just alleviate that stress to like times 1 million. So we want to alleviate that as much as possible. I have counseled numerous people that have their electronics, their loved ones electronics, and they know that all the information they could possibly need is located on these electronics, but they don't know the password to them. So it's really, really, really important. We can also help you with this. And that's when you call us and you schedule what's called a life and legacy planning session to help you get the right plan in place for you. We talk about all of these things as well. And so that you have something that's right for your family, it's at the right budget for you as well. Yes, you can do it all yourself. All the resources is out there. But if you won't, or your situation is maybe too complex, let us handle it for you. Get that peace of mind that it's done correctly. This one is really, really important and something I learned about just recently. This is getting a FERPA release. So if you're in college, you want to ask for this FERPA release. What it stands for is Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And it allows for you to keep your education records private. Your parents will no longer be able to see your grades are, or whether you're turning in your homework late, or maybe they didn't even take attendance as far as from what I remember. They won't be able to see if you're doing well or struggling or need help either. But also, in the event of an emergency, you may need to withdraw from school for a time. Your parents can't do that for you either, unless you give them the ability to go by filling out this form once you get to school and signing it. Most colleges have their own, so check with them once you're there. Another really important thing to do is to check the resources that are available for your college student and for yourself. It is a hard transition going from being in high school to suddenly being an adult and in college. There's a lot of different societal pressures and like trying to figure out how to adult on your own too. And I'm just surprised by the amount of resources that I feel are not readily circulated to parents and to students to know that those services exist. So really explore that. If your student is struggling, there's so many resources on campus that can assist them in that. I was just talking to a client of mine. That's what her daughter does at Stanford. She runs this department that helps students who are struggling with whatever it may be. So mental health, maybe it is their grades, maybe it's social anxiety, but there are so many resources that are available through the schools. It's just know where to find them. What about resistance? Now, like I mentioned, I've got real little kids. They're 7, 6, and 3. I know a thing or two about resistance, particularly with my 3-year-old. But now that we've gone through these essential documents, I really do have a really important question to ask your kids. Do you feel any resistance to giving your parents the ability to handle your legal, financial, and educational affairs? And if they say yes, us as parents, we might have to ask, why are they saying yes to this? And most likely they're afraid you're going to interfere with their life. They're going to take away their freedom, whatever it may be. If you're overbearing or whatever your parental style is, there's no judgment here by any means. But we want to create an environment where they feel safe and they're going to be heard. That is where I hear a lot of I am a lawyer, but it also says counselor of law. So I am very much like a counselor in the things that I have heard as well. So you may need to do some internal work because it is ultimately your child's decision of who they're going to name to play these different roles. So that you're not projecting your own fear, your own guilt, shame, or judgment on them either, which is hard. They want to be curious. They want you to ask them what they want, and they want you to listen to them. Sometimes we don't do a great job listening to our children. I know that depending on what they're asking for, I certainly shut them down. No, you can't have candy at 8 o'clock in the morning, regardless of the reasons they provide. Again, my kids are real little. And when we don't, they don't feel safe to express themselves and the reasons for their decisions. We want to make them feel safe, to feel heard, and to be valued. So the best thing you could do is to support your young adult is to get curious and then accept and respect their wishes. even if they want someone else to manage their affairs, that's a tough pill to swallow for sure, as us as parents to manage their healthcare too. So it's just, I just to keep an open mind about all this. Again, having these documents in place is the most important part, regardless of who they choose. Caveat, caveat, caveat as well, or like asterisk, asterisk. I know that's not easy. What if they choose somebody you don't like, or someone who's not very mindful about these things? So moving along here, we've talked a lot about a lot of different important things today, and I want to come full circle here and revisit what it means to do adulting right. And here's something I haven't mentioned yet. To do adulting right, make important decisions from a place of empowerment that comes through education, which is the foundation of my law practice. At my firm, that's how we work with our clients. It's education, it's the front and center, it's the bread and butter, it's the heart of our firm. Because we believe you can't make the best decisions for yourselves if you don't have the information. So today you learned what documents you need, how to get them for free. Now you have a decision to make. Do you want to do the documents yourself and maybe not understand them, or know what scenarios could arise that would affect the choices you make in your documentation? Or you have questions about language in the documents you don't understand, but hey, they're free? Or do you want to do the documents yourself, but not have anyone hold you accountable for actually finishing them and signing them and taking the chance that something could happen and it'll be too late? Or do you want the support you need to get it done and get it done correctly? We get in this mindset that estate planning is only about documents, but I assure you it is not. That's exactly why I'm happy to tell you where to get them for free. It's the counseling, it's the education that you're paying for, it's the relationship that we're creating as well. The documents are merely the byproduct of good estate planning, which is all about making the right decisions for you and your loved ones, so you and they are protected from court and conflict if you're no longer able to make these decisions yourself. It's also about making sure your decisions are documented properly so that they are enforceable, effective immediately, and decrease unnecessary costs and conflict for the people you love. If you want us to create the documents for your young adult, we'll charge $500 for the trifecta as well, and we'll be happy to do it for you. It makes a lot more, it makes it a lot more likely that they'll actually get done. If your kids are leaving home to attend college or to start a new career, it's time to get it in place. Once they reach 18, your kids become legal adults, and many areas of their lives that were once under your control will solely be their responsibility. And I know how terrifying that can be. As we already discussed, once they turn 18, you'll no longer have automatic access to their medical information and their financial accounts should anything happen to them. So alternatively, we have another offer for all of our parents. If you're a parent of a young adult and you book a life and legacy planning session today, I'll make it even easier for you. I'll give you a $1,250 legal planning as my gift, a value of that of $1,250. So you have two options. So one, you can book a session for your young adult where we discuss the documents, their decisions, and sign the following legal documents. So that durable power of attorney, the healthcare directive, a living will, and a HIPAA authorization. So that's all $500. Or if you book a life and legacy planning session for yourself, I'll waive the planning session fee of $750, plus I'll do your young adults documentation and waive the $500 for their document set as well. So that's where that $1,250 comes from. If you don't want to go it alone and book a life and legacy planning session to get clear on exactly what you need, and when something happens, you can call on me. Your children can call on me when something happens to you as well. At the end of your life and legacy planning session, you'll be educated and empowered, knowing that you've made the best decisions and that you have the support to get it all done and not procrastinate. That's a big one, not procrastinating. I'll do it. If you will DIY, go do it. Schedule the time tonight on your calendar and get it in place. But let's make a deal. Okay, I'm always about let's make a deal. because this is too important. I want you to pull out your calendar, like on your phone, like right behind my computer screens. I have like big giant calendars. Calendar today is the 12th. Calendar for September 12th that you're going to get these documents done by September 12th. If they're not done by September 12th, you're going to call me and we're going to get these done. Okay, so do that for me as well. And then we'll take you through a life and legacy planning session to look honestly at what the cost is for not having anything at all. That's called a failed plan. And then we'll look at what plan is right for you, the right budget based on your family dynamics and your assets. And let's look at the cost for me just to handle it for you. And if the cost for me to handle it is less than the cost to the people you love, let's say you get into my office either virtually or in person, I do both, so I can do it for you and make sure it stays up to date throughout your lifetime, and that I could be there for you, for the people that you love, and be a resource for them. So here's what you need to do next. So book that life and legacy planning session. I'll waive the $750 planning session fee I normally charge, and the $500 fee to get that trifecta of documents for your young adult. That's a gift totaling $1,250. But you need to book as soon as possible. If you're attending this live tonight, you got to book it tonight for this month. And when you call, mention the young adult planning special, so my team can make sure that you get that as it's only available to the attendees. So I like to do just like a warning about those $399 or $1,500 plans that I see everywhere. If you're seeking information and guidance on estate planning, wills, healthcare directives, or powers of attorney, you're going to see a lot of advertisements for some options that look tempting, perhaps too good to be true. But please do not fall for the false sense of security they promise for a fee that is too cheap to deliver anything more than what you can do for yourself, and sometimes even less. If a professional is trying to sell you a plan that is $399 or so, they'll likely an insurance agent or a company dangling cheap legal documents in front of you to buy your eyeballs to sell you high commission insurance products or financial services. Don't do it. Those families wind up coming to my office and we're in probate court. If they're a lawyer and they're offering to deliver you a one-size-fits-all $1,500 or a $4,000 trust package, they aren't going to deliver you much more what you can do for yourself. And that's why I share where all these free resources are. So what winds up happening in these plans, they sit in a drawer and they don't serve anybody. They don't serve the families that they're designed to protect. So please think twice when you see an offer that's too good to be true. So that's why I mentioned I'm giving you all the resources to DIY, or you could call me and get that $1,250 of legal services to get the right plan in place and the right price for you and your family based on your assets, your dynamics, and your goals. So these are the next steps. So you can either schedule a time in your calendar, as I mentioned before, go ahead and write it out on September 12th. That's your drop dead date. Drop dead as in you're getting those documents done. I realize we're talking about estate planning. That could be a loaded word there. So I mean that's your deadline to getting these documents done. Or go to the link which I'm going to show on the next page here, and you can book it from the QR code. You can ask Star to call you. You can say golden ticket in the chat and she'll reach out to you too and give you my calendar. We're here to help you. And as I mentioned before, you book that life and legacy planning session. We meet online or in person, and you'll get that the $500 towards the trifecta for the documents for your young adult as well. Once you do that, we'll meet for 2 hours. It's usually 2 hours. You'll get sent homework. We review it. We look at what would happen in the event of incapacity or death, the cost, the time it would take your family to deal with it all, dealing with court, most importantly, who would deal with it, and whether that's okay with you, or if you want something different for your family and the people that you love. And then we'll look at the cost to have me handle it for you. Generally, that's going to range somewhere between $2,500 to $8,500, where most people fall around the $4,000 mark around there. But here's the thing. The plan is chosen by you. It's not chosen by me. I'm here to educate and to guide. And it's your decision will be based upon your goals and your budget and your family as well. So we don't do one size fits all planning or pricing, but what we do have is a proprietary counseling process to guide you to make all the right decisions for yourself, the people that you love, so that you know you haven't shortchanged yourself and most importantly them, and that you know that your plan is going to work when they need it most. Unless you're ready and excited to DIY, now that you know what to do, go to the link that I'm going to show you here, the QR code, and schedule now before my schedule gets all backed up, as we have a lot of events that are coming up here. I'm really looking forward to meeting with you and your college-bound student and this exciting new endeavor that they're about to embark on. So if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. You are very welcome. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us this evening. If you have any questions as your brain keeps processing the information that we went through, please reach out, and then don't forget to take advantage of the offer that we have tonight with booking a life and legacy planning session. Well then, thank you. I will end it here. I'm going to stop my screen share here as well, and I'm going to stop the recording.